India's political philosophy is not based on a single thinker or one fixed doctrine. Instead, it developed over thousands of years through the ideas of sages, philosophers, reformers, and political leaders. Ancient Indian thought explored questions about justice, duty, governance, morality, and the relationship between ruler and citizen. These ideas evolved across different historical periods and continue to influence India's political life even today. In ancient India, political thinking was closely connected with the concept of dharma. Dharma referred to moral duty, ethical conduct, and social responsibility. It was believed that rulers should govern according to dharma and protect the welfare of their people. Good governance was not merely about power, but about maintaining justice, peace, and harmony within society. One of the most important texts discussing politics was the Arthashastra, traditionally associated with Kautilya. It presented a practical approach to statecraft and administration. Kautilya emphasized the importance of a strong state, efficient administration, security, and economic prosperity. At the same time, he argued that the happiness of the ruler depended upon the happiness of the people. Another significant influence came from Buddhist and Jaina tradition. This tradition promoted values such as non-violence, compassion, tolerance, and ethical leadership. They challenged excessive use of force and encouraged rulers to govern with wisdom and moral responsibility. Such ideas contribute to a more human understanding of a political authority. During the medieval period, political thought was influenced by interaction among diverse religious and cultural traditions. Ideas of coexistence, accommodation, and pluralism gradually became important. Indian society learned to manage diversity through dialogue and mutual respect, laying foundation for later democratic values. The colonial period brought new political challenges and intellectual debate. Indian thinkers began engaging with modern concepts such as liberty, equality, democracy, nationalism, and constitutional government. They sought ways to combine these modern ideas with India's own philosophical tradition and social realities. Leaders of the Indian freedom movement developed distinctive political vision. Some emphasized national unity and democratic governance, while others focused on social reform, economic justice, and cultural revival. Despite their differences, most shared the goal of creating a society based on freedom, dignity, and collective welfare. Among these leaders, Mahatma Gandhi played a particularly influential role. Gandhi believed that politics should be guided by morality and truth. He argued that genuine political power comes not from violence or coercion but from ethical action and public participation. His ideas transformed political struggle into a moral movement. Another major contribution was B.R. Ambedkar, who emphasized equality, social justice, and constitutional democracy. Ambedkar argued that political freedom alone was not enough. True democracy required the elimination of social discrimination and the creation of equal opportunities for all citizens. After independence, India's political philosophy embodied in its constitution. The constitution reflects a commitment to democracy, secularism, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. These values provide the framework within which political institutions function and citizens exercise their rights and responsibilities. A distinctive feature of Indian political philosophy is its effort to balance individual freedom and social responsibility. It recognizes the right of individual while also emphasizing duties towards society. This balance seeks to ensure that personal liberty contributes to collective well-being rather than social division. Another important aspect is respect for diversity. India is home to multiple religions, language, culture, and communities. Political philosophy in India therefore promotes unity without demanding uniformity. The goal is to create a society where different identities can coexist peacefully within a shared democratic framework. Economic justice also occupies a central place in Indian political thought. Many thinkers argue that democracy cannot flourish when large sections of society remain poor and marginalized. As a result, policies aimed at reducing inequality and promoting welfare became important component of the political system. Today, India's political philosophy continues to evolve as the country faces new challenges and opportunities. Debate about development, right, social justice, and governance remain active. Yet, the enduring principle of democracy, pluralism, justice, and human dignity continue to guide political discussion and public life. Thus, India's political philosophy represents a rich synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern democratic ideas. It combines ethical governance and social responsibility, individual right and collective welfare into a broad vision of political life. This unique tradition continues to shape the aspiration and institution of the world's largest democracy. Constitutional morality refers to the values, principles, and ethical standards that guide the functioning of a constitutional democracy. It requires citizens, leaders, and institutions to respect not only the written provision of the Constitution but also the spirit behind them. In a democracy, following constitutional morality helps protect freedom, equality, justice, and the rule of law. The idea of constitutional morality gained particular importance through the work of B.R. Ambedkar. Ambedkar believed that a constitution alone cannot guarantee democracy. Its success depends on the willingness of people and institutions to uphold constitutional values in their daily action and decision. Constitutional morality encourages respect for democratic procedure and institutions. Even when individuals disagree with government decisions, they are expected to pursue change through lawful and constitutional method. This commitment helps maintaining political stability while protecting democratic freedom. A key element of constitutional morality is respect for equality. The Constitution guarantees equal treatment before the law, regardless of religion, caste, gender, language, or social background. Constitutional morality requires society to reject discrimination and ensure that every citizen enjoys equal dignity and opportunity. Another important aspect is the protection of the individual right and freedom. Constitutional morality recognizes that democracy is not simply majority rule. The right of minorities and vulnerable groups must also be safeguarded. This prevents democratic power from becoming oppressive or unjust. Constitutional morality also promotes accountability in public life. Government officials, legislators, judges, and administrators are expected to act within constitutional limits. Power should be exercised responsibly and transparently rather than according to personal interest or arbitrary decision. The principle of tolerance is closely connected to constitutional morality. In a diverse society, people often hold different beliefs and opinions. Constitutional morality encourages mutual respect and peaceful coexistence despite these differences. It allows democratic debate without turning disagreement into hostility. An independent judiciary plays a crucial role in maintaining constitutional morality. Courts interpret constitutional principles, protect fundamental rights, and ensure that government action remain consistent with constitutional values. Through judicial review, constitutional morality receives practical protection. Constitutional morality becomes especially important during periods of political conflict or social tension. At such time, constitutional principles provide guidance and restraint. They help ensure that decisions are based on law, justice, and democratic norms rather than emotion or political pressure. Ultimately, constitutional morality serves as the ethical foundation of democratic governance. It reminds society that democracy requires more than election and institution. It requires a continued commitment to constitutional values, respect for right, and responsible exercise of power. These principles help preserve both democracy and human dignity. Secularism is a principle that governs the relationship between religion and the state. In simple terms, it means that the state does not favor any particular religion and treat all religion with equal respect. In a diverse country like India, secularism plays a crucial role in maintaining harmony among people belonging to different faith and belief systems. The Indian understanding of secularism different from some Western model. In several Western countries, secularism often means a strict separation between religion and the state. In India, however, secularism is based on the idea of equal respect for all religion. The state does not identify itself with any religion but may engage with religious communities to ensure justice and social welfare. The root of Indian secularism can be tracked to the country's long history of cultural and religious diversity. Different religious traditions have coexisted in India for centuries. This experience encouraged the development of values such as tolerance, coexistence, and mutual respect, which later become important foundation of secular thought. During the freedom struggle, many leaders emphasized the importance of religious harmony. They believed that India's unity depended upon cooperation among people of different faiths. As a result, secularism emerged as a key principle for building an inclusive and democratic nation after independence. The Constitution of India guarantees freedom of religion to all citizens. Individuals are free to practice, profess, and propagate their religion subject to reasonable restrictions imposed in the interest of public order, morality, and health. This protection allows people to follow their belief without fear of discrimination. Secularism also protects those who choose not to follow any religion. The Constitution recognizes freedom of conscience, meaning that individuals have the right to form their own belief and conviction. The principle ensures that personal faith remains a matter of individual choice rather than state compulsion. Another important feature of secularism is equal treatment before the law. The state cannot discriminate against citizens based on their religion. Government benefit, opportunities, and legal protection are intended to be available to all individuals regardless of their faith. All time, secularism requires the state to intervene in social practice associated with religion when those practices conflict with constitutional values. Such intervention aim to promote equality, justice, and human dignity while respecting religious freedom as much as possible. Secularism also encourages dialogue and understanding among communities. In a plural society, differences in belief are inevitable. By promoting respect and peaceful coexistence, secularism helps prevent religious conflict and strengthen national unity. Thus, secularism in India not hostility towards religion, but a commitment to fairness, equality, and mutual respect. It seeks to create a society where people of all faith and those with no faith can live together as equal citizens within a democratic framework. Fundamental rights are the basic right granted to every citizen by the Constitution. These rights are essential for the development of individual freedom, dignity, and personality. They protect citizens from arbitrary action and ensure that democracy functions effectively by safeguarding liberty and equality. The framer of the Constitution believed that political democracy would be incomplete without protecting individual rights. Therefore, they include a comprehensive set of fundamental rights to ensure that every citizen enjoys certain freedom regardless of social, economic, or political circumstances. One of the most important categories is the right to equality. This right guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of the law. It prohibits discrimination on grounds such as religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth and promote equal opportunities for all citizens. The right to freedom grants several essential liberties, including freedom of speech and expression, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of movement, freedom of residence, and freedom to practice any profession. This freedom allows citizens to participate actively in a democratic life. Freedom of speech is particularly important in democracy. It enables individuals to express opinion, criticize government policies, and engage in public debate. Through open discussion, society can identify problems, explore solutions, and hold leaders accountable. Another important category is the right against exploitation. This right prohibits practices such as human trafficking, forced labor, and child labor in hazardous occupation. Its purpose is to protect human dignity and prevent the abuse of vulnerable individuals. The right to freedom of religion grants religious liberty to all citizens. People are free to practice, profess, and propagate their faith while respecting public order, morality, and health. This right reflects India's commitment to religious diversity and tolerance. Cultural and educational rights protect the interests of minorities. This right allows linguistic and religious communities to preserve their culture, language, and educational institutions. Such protection help maintaining India's rich cultural diversity. The right to constitutional remedies is often described as the heart of fundamental right. It allows citizens to approach court whenever their rights are violated. This ensures that constitutional guarantees are not merely symbolic but can be effectively enforced. Fundamental rights are not absolute. Reasonable restrictions may be imposed in certain situations to protect public order, security, morality, and the right of others. This balance seeks to ensure that individual freedom coexists with social responsibility. Over time, courts have expanded the interpretation of fundamental rights. The right to life, for example, has been understood to include various aspects of human dignity, such as access to a healthy environment, education, and other conditions necessary for meaningful existence. In conclusion, fundamental rights form the foundation of democratic citizens in India. They protect liberty, promote equality, safeguard dignity, and empower citizens to participate fully in public life. These rights remain essential for preserving both democracy and justice. Constitutionalism is the idea that political power should be limited and exercised according to established constitutional rule and principle. It rejects arbitrary rule and insists that government authority must operate within legal and constitutional boundaries. In this way, constitutionalism protects freedom and prevents the misuse of power. The concept emerged from the belief that unchecked political power can threaten individual liberty and social justice. Constitutionalism therefore seeks to create a system in which rulers themselves are subject to the law. No person or institution is considered above constitutional authority. A written constitution often serves as the foundation of constitutionalism. The constitution defines the structure of government, distributes power among institutions, protect right, and establish procedure for decision making. This provision help maintain stability and accountability. One of the central features of the constitutionalism is the rule of law. This principle means that laws apply equally to everyone, including government officials. Decisions should be based on legal principle rather than personal preference, political pressure, or arbitrary action. Another important element is the separation of power. Government authority is divided among different branches, such as the legislature, executive, and judiciary. This division prevents excessive concentration of power and creates mechanism for mutual oversight and balance. Judicial independence is also essential to constitutionalism. Court must be able to interpret laws and constitutional provision without interference. An independent judiciary protects right, resolve dispute, and ensure that government action remain consistent with constitutional principle. Constitutionalism places great emphasis on the protecting of fundamental rights. Government may change policies and laws, but they must respect constitutional guarantees relating to liberty, equality, and human dignity. Rights act as a safeguard against the abuse of political power. Democratic accountability forms another pillar of constitutionalism. Citizens have the right to choose their representative, evaluate government performance, and participate in public affairs. Election, transparency, and public scrutiny help ensure responsible governance. Constitutionalism also requires respect for constitutional procedure. Even desirable political goals should be pursued through lawful means. This commitment prevents instability and strengthens public trust in democratic institutions. In modern democracies, constitutionalism serves as a bridge between authority and liberty. It allows government to function effectively while ensuring that power remains accountable and limited. Through constitutionalism, democracy gains stability, legitimacy, and protection against arbitrary rule. Total Revolution was a political and social philosophy associated with Jayaprakash Narayan, often known as JP. He believed that merely changing governments was not enough to solve society's problem. Instead, he called for a comprehensive transformation of political, social, economic, educational, and moral life. This broad vision came to be known as Total Revolution. The idea emerged during a period when many people are dissatisfied with corruption, inefficiency, inequality, and misuse of power. Jayaprakash Narayan argued that these problems are interconnected and could not be addressed through isolated reform. A deeper transformation of society was necessary. According to JP, political change alone would be incomplete if social injustice continued. Therefore, Total Revolution aimed to transform both institutions and human behavior. It sought not only better governance but also greater moral responsibility among citizens and leaders. One dimension of Total Revolution was political reform. JP advocated greater accountability, transparency, and public participation in governance. He believed that democracy should empower ordinary citizens rather than concentration power in few hands. This social dimension focused on reducing inequalities and overcoming discrimination. JP envisioned a society where all individuals enjoy dignity, opportunity, and respect regardless of caste, class, religion, or other social differences. Economic transformation was another important component. JP supported policies that would reduce poverty, promote equitable development, and ensure that economic growth benefit all sections of society. He believed that development should serve human welfare rather than narrow interest. Educational reform also occupied an important place in his vision. Education, according to JP, should develop responsible citizens who possess both knowledge and moral awareness. Learning should contribute to social progress as well as individual advancement. Moral and cultural renewal force perhaps the most distinctive aspect of total revolution. JP argued that corruption and injustice could not be eliminated merely through laws. Ethical values such as honesty, service, responsibility, and compassion are equally necessary for social transformation. The movement gained national attention during the 1970s when JP encouraged peaceful democratic action against perceived abuse power. His method emphasized non-violence, public participation, and constitutional means of political change. Total revolution remained significant because it presents a holistic vision of social change. It reminds us that lasting progress requires transformation not only in political institutions but also in economic structure, social relations, education, and moral values. Terrorism refers to the use of violence, threat, or fear to achieve political, ideological, religious, or social objective. Unlike conventional conflict, terrorism often targets civilian or public places in order to create widespread fear and uncertainty. The primary goal is not only to cause physical damage but also to influence public opinion, government policies, or political outcome. Throughout history, different groups have used terrorist methods to pursue their objective. Although their motives may vary, terrorism generally involves the deliberate use of violence against non-combatants. Such actions challenge public security, undermine social trust, and threaten democratic institutions. One of the defining characteristics of terrorism is the creation of fear beyond the immediate victim. A terrorist attack affects not only those directly harmed but also entire communities. People may begin to feel unsafe in places they once considered secure, such as markets, schools, transportation system, or public gathering. Terrorism can emerge from a variety of factors, including political grievance, ideological extremism, social alienation, economic inequality, or international conflict. However, understanding this factor does not justify terrorist violence. Democratic societies generally seek to address grievances through lawful and peaceful means rather than violence. The impact of terrorism extends far beyond loss of life and property. It can disrupt economic activity, weaken social cohesion, increase mistrust among communities, and place significant pressure on governments. In severe cases, it may even threaten national stability and democratic governance. Government respond to terrorism through security measures, intelligence gathering, law enforcement, and international cooperation. Effective counter-terrorism strategies seek to prevent attack while respecting constitutional principles and human rights. Balancing security and liberty remain an important challenge for democratic societies. Political thinking often emphasizes that terrorism should not be viewed solely as a security issue. Long-term solutions may also require addressing social, political, and economic conditions that contribute to alienation or radicalization. This broader approach seeks to reduce the appeal of extremist ideologies. Education plays a significant role in preventing terrorism. By promoting critical thinking, tolerance, democratic values, and respect for diversity, education can help counter narratives that encourage hatred and violence. Informed citizens are less likely to be influenced by extremist propaganda. Civil society, organizations, community leaders, and religious institutions can also contribute to peace-building efforts. Through dialogue and cooperation, they help strengthen social harmony and reduce tension that extremists may attempt to exploit for their own purpose. Ultimately, terrorism represents a challenge to both security and democracy. Combating it required not only effective law enforcement but also a commitment to justice, inclusion, dialogue, and constitutional values. This principle helps societies remain resilient in the face of violence and fear. Swadeshi is the political, economic, and cultural philosophy that encourages the use of locally produced goods and service. The term literally means of one's own country. It became a powerful idea during India's struggle for independence, symbolizing economic self-reliance and resistance to colonial domination. The Swadeshi movement gained prominence during the early 20th century. Many Indian leaders believed that dependence on imported goods weakened the country's economy and strengthened colonial control. By supporting local industries, people could contribute to both economic development and national freedom. Swadeshi was not merely an economic strategy, it also represented a form of political action. Every purchase of locally produced goods became a statement of support for national self-reliance and collective empowerment. Economic choices are linked directly to political goals. Among the strongest advocates of Swadeshi was Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi viewed Swadeshi as a means of empowering ordinary people, especially those living in villages. He believed that local production could reduce poverty and strengthen communities. The spinning wheel became one of the most recognizable symbols of Swadeshi. Gandhi encouraged people to spin their own cloth and wear locally made garments. This simple act carried deep political significance because it challenged dependence on imported textile. Swadeshi also reflects a broader philosophy of self-sufficiency. Gandhi argued that communities should strive to meet their essential needs through local resource and local labor whenever possible. Such self-reliance would promote economic independence and social stability. The idea extended beyond economic into ethical and social responsibility. Swadeshi encouraged individuals to consider the impact of their consumption choice on local workers, producers, and communities. Economic decisions are seen as moral choice with social consequence. After independence, the concept of Swadeshi continued to influence debate about development and economic policy. Some view it as support for domestic industries, while others emphasize its broader message of sustainable and community-centered development. In contemporary discussion, Swadeshi is often connected with ideas such as local entrepreneurship, economic resilience, and sustainable production. While globalization has changed economic realities, the principle of strengthening local capacities remain relevant. Thus, Swadeshi represents more than a preference for a local goods. It is a philosophy of self-reliance, dignity, responsibility, and national development. By linking economic activity with social and practical goals, it's become an important part of India's freedom movement and intellectual tradition. Satyagraha is a method of non-violent resistance developed and popularized by Mahatma Gandhi. The term combined the idea of truth and firmness, meaning the force that comes from adherence to truth. Gandhi considered Satyagraha not merely a political strategy but a moral philosophy for addressing injustice. According to Gandhi, truth is the highest principle guiding human life. When individuals encounter injustice, they should resist it through truthful and ethical means rather than violence. Satyagraha therefore seeks to transform both the oppressor and the oppressed through moral persuasion. Non-violence is the central feature of Satyagraha. Gandhi believed that violence often creates new forms of hatred and conflict. Non-violent resistance, by contrast, allows individuals to oppose injustice while preserving human dignity and respect for others. Satyagraha required courage and self-discipline. It is not passive submission to wrongdoing. Instead, it involved action resistance through peaceful methods such as protest, demonstration, civil disobedience, and non-cooperation with unjust laws or policies. An important aspect of Satyagraha is the willingness to accept suffering without retaliation. Gandhi believed that voluntary suffering demonstrates sincerity and moral commitment. Such sacrifice can awaken the conscience of opponents and encourage reconciliation. The method was used extensively during India's freedom struggle. Through campaign of non-cooperation and civil disobedience, large number of people participated in peaceful resistance against colonial rule. This movement demonstrates the power of collective non-violence action. Satyagraha is based on the belief that every individual possesses moral growth. Even those who commit injustice should not be treated as enemies. The objective is not to destroy opponents, but to pursue them to recognize and correct their wrongdoing. Beyond politics, Gandhi believed that Satyagraha could be applied to social and personal conflict. Whenever disagreement arises, individuals should seek solution through dialogue, understanding, and moral persuasion rather than coercion or aggression. The influence of Satyagraha extended far beyond India. Many civil rights and social justice movements around the world adopted similar methods of peaceful resistance. The philosophy demonstrates the determined non-violence action can bring about significant social and political change. In conclusion, Satyagraha represents the union of truth, non-violence, courage, and moral responsibility. It offered a vision of social change based not on fear or force, but on conscience, dignity, and the power of ethical action. Sarvodaya is a social and political philosophy closely associated with Mahatma Gandhi. The term means the welfare of all or the upliftment of all. It expresses the idea that genuine progress should benefit every member of society rather than a privileged few. Gandhi developed the concept after reflecting on ethical, spiritual, and social questions. He believed that a just society should be organized around cooperation, compassion, and service. Economic and political system should aim at improving the life of all people, especially the poorest and most vulnerable. At the heart of Sarvodaya lies the principle of human dignity. Every individual possesses intrinsic worth regardless of wealth, caste, religion, gender, or social status. A society committed to Sarvodaya seeks to ensure that all people can live with respect and opportunity. Sarvodaya emphasized social harmony rather than conflict between groups. Gandhi believed that different sections of society should work together for the common goal. Cooperation, mutual respect, and shared responsibility are seen as essential for lasting social progress. Economic justice occupies an important place within Sarvodaya. Gandhi criticized systems that allow extreme concentration of wealth while large number of people remained poor. He argued that economic activity should serve human welfare rather than merely maximize profit. The philosophy also supports decentralized development. Gandhi envisioned strong local communities capable of managing many of their own affairs. Village self-government and local participation are considered important means of empowering ordinary citizens. Sarvodaya encourages a spirit of service. Individuals are expected to consider not only their personal interest but also the well-being of others. Social responsibility becomes an essential part of ethical citizenship and community life. After independence, several leaders and activists expanded the Sarvodaya movement. They promoted programs related to the rural development, land reform, community cooperation, and social equality. This effort sought to translate Gandhi's ideas into practical action. In modern times, Sarvodaya continued to inspire discussion about sustainable development, social justice, and inclusive growth. Its emphasis on human welfare remained relevant in societies facing inequality, poverty, and environmental challenges. Thus, Sarvodaya offered a vision of development centered on the welfare of all. By combining compassion, justice, cooperation, and service, it seeks to create a society in which every individual has the opportunity to flourish. Social democracy is a political philosophy that seeks to combine democracy with social and economic justice. It accepts democratic institutions, free election, and individual right, while also supporting government action to reduce inequality and improve the well-being of citizens. The central idea is that political freedom should be accompanied by social and economic opportunities for all. The philosophy developed from the belief that democracy becomes stronger when citizens have access to education, healthcare, employment opportunity, and basic social security. Without this condition, many people may struggle to exercise their freedom effectively even if political rights formally exist. Social democracy supports a mixed economy in which both public and private sector play important roles. Private enterprise can encourage innovation and economic growth, while the government works to ensure that the benefits of development are distributed fairly across society. A key principle of social democracy is social welfare. Governments are expected to provide essential services such as education, healthcare, housing assistance, and social protection programs. These measures aim to improve living standards and reduce social inequalities. The philosophy also emphasizes worker rights and fair labor conditions. Social democrats generally support reasonable wages, safe working environment, and protecting against exploitation. Economic progress should improve the lives of workers as well as business owners. Equality of opportunity is another important goal. Social democracy recognizes that people begin life under different circumstances. Therefore, public policies should help reduce barriers related to poverty, discrimination, or lack of access to resources so that individuals can develop their abilities. Unlike revolutionary form of socialism, social democracy seeks change through democratic and constitutional means. It supports gradual reform achieved through election, legislation, public participation, and peaceful political process rather than violent upheaval. In the Indian context, social democracy gained special significance through the idea of B.R. Ambedkar. Ambedkar argued that political democracy could not survive unless accompanied by social and economic democracy. Equality, liberty, and fraternity needed to operate together in society. Social democracy attempts to balance individual freedom with collective responsibility. Citizens enjoy personal liberties, but society also accepts an obligation to ensure that everyone has access to basic opportunities and protection necessary for a dignified life. Today, social democracy continues to influence public policy debate around the world. Its commitment to democracy, equality, and social justice make it an important framework for addressing challenges such as poverty, unemployment, and economic inequality. State socialism is a political and economic philosophy that advocates a significant role for the state in controlling or directing economic activities. It is based on the belief that government intervention can help reduce inequality, prevent exploitation, and ensure that economic resources are used for the benefit of society as a whole. The central idea of state socialism is that important sector of the economy should not be left entirely to market forces. Instead, the state may own, regulate, or manage key industries to promote social welfare and equitable development. Economic decisions are expected to serve public interest rather than purely private profit. Supporters of state socialism argue that unrestricted economic competition can lead to large inequalities in wealth and power. When resources become concentrated in the hands of a few, many people may lack access to essential opportunities. State intervention is viewed as a way to correct such imbalance. One major objective of state socialism is economic planning. Through planning, government attempt to guide production, investment, and resource allocation towards a national goal such as employment generation, industrial development, and poverty reduction. Planning is seen as a tool for achieving long-term social progress. The philosophy often supports public ownership of key industries and infrastructure. Sectors considered essential for national development such as transportation, energy, or heavy industry may have been placed under government control to ensure that they operate in the public interest. In India, elements of state socialism influenced economic policies after independence. Leaders believed that government involvement was necessary to promote industrialization, reduce poverty, and build a strong economic foundation. Public sector enterprise become important instrument of development. State socialism does not necessarily eliminate private enterprise. In many cases, it allows private businesses to operate while maintaining significant government oversight and regulation. The exact balance between public and private sector varies across different countries and historical contexts. Critics argue that excessive state control can sometimes reduce efficiency, limit innovation, or create bureaucratic obstacles. Supporters respond that effective regulation and democratic accountability can help address these challenges while preserving social objectives. The philosophy seeks to combine economic growth with social welfare. Rather than measuring success solely through profit or production, it emphasizes broader goals such as employment, equality, education, healthcare, and overall quality of life. Thus, state socialism represents an effort to use governmental authority to save economic development in accordance with social need. Its primary concern is ensuring that economic resources contribute to collective welfare and social justice rather than benefiting only a limited section of society. Affirmative action refers to the policies designed to improve opportunities for groups that have historically faced discrimination, exclusion, or social disadvantage. The objective is not to provide unfair advantages but to create conditions in which all individuals can compete and participate more equally in society. The idea is based on the recognition that formal equality alone may not be sufficient. Even when laws treat everyone equally, historical inequalities can continue to affect access to education, employment, and public opportunities. Affirmative action seeks to address these long-standing disadvantages. In India, affirmative action is closely connected with effort to overcome social inequalities associated with caste and other forms of marginalization. The Constitution provides special measures to support communities that have experienced historical discrimination and exclusion. One of the most visible forms of affirmative action is reservation education institution, public employment, and political representation. This measure aims to increase participation by groups that have traditionally been underrepresented in important social and political institutions. Supporters argue that affirmative action promotes substantive equality. Rather than focusing only on equal treatment, it seeks to create genuine equal opportunities by addressing structural barriers that prevent disadvantaged groups from advancing. Affirmative action also has broader social objectives. By increasing representation in education, government, and public life, it helps create more inclusive institutions. Greater diversity can improve decision making and strengthen democratic participation. The philosophy recognizes that social inequalities often persist across generations. Without targeted intervention, disadvantaged communities may continue to face obstacles despite legal guarantees of equality. Affirmative action attempt to break this cycle of exclusion. At the same time, debate continue regarding the scope, duration, and implementation of such policies. Different perspectives exist about how best to balance social justice, equality of opportunity, and merit-based selection. This discussion remain important in democratic societies. Despite differing opinions, most discussion of affirmative action share a common concern: how to create a society in which historical disadvantages no longer determine a person's future opportunities. The goal is greater fairness and inclusion rather than permanent division. Ultimately, affirmative action represents an effort to translate constitutional commitment to equality and justice into practical reality. By addressing the effects of past discrimination, it seeks to create a more inclusive and equitable social order. Social justice is the principle that all individuals should have fair access to opportunities, resources, rights, and protection within society. It seeks to create conditions in which people can live with dignity and participate fully in society, economic and political life regardless of their background. The concept emerged from concern about inequality, discrimination, poverty, and exclusion. Social justice challenges system and practice that prevent certain groups from enjoying the same opportunities and rights available to others. Its goal is a more equitable and humane society. A central element of social justice is equality. However, social justice goes beyond treating everyone identically. It's recognized that people often begin life under different circumstances and may require different forms of support to achieve genuinely equal opportunities. Human dignity is another foundational principle. Every individual possesses inherent worth and deserves respect regardless of wealth, caste, religion, gender, ethnicity, or social status. Social justice seeks to ensure that this dignity is reflected in social institutions and public policies. Economic justice forms an important dimension of the concept. Extreme poverty and inequality can limit people's ability to exercise their right and realize their potential. Therefore, social justice supports efforts to improve access to employment, education, healthcare, and basic necessities. Political participation is equally important. Social justice requires that all citizens have opportunities to influence decisions that affect their life. Democratic inclusion helps ensure that public policies reflect the need and interests of diverse communities. The idea also involves combating discrimination and exclusion. Social institutions should provide equal treatment while actively addressing barriers that prevent certain groups from participating fully in society. Inclusion strengthens both democracy and social cohesion. In India, social justice has been a major constitutional objective. The Constitution seeks to promote justice in social, economic, and political sphere. Various policies and programs have been developed to reduce inequalities and improve opportunities for disadvantaged groups. Many political thinkers have argued that freedom and equality are closely linked. Individuals cannot fully enjoy freedom if they are trapped by poverty, discrimination, or lack of access to opportunities. Social justice therefore seeks to create conditions that make meaningful freedom possible for everyone. Social justice is not a fixed destination but an ongoing process. As societies change, new forms of inequality and exclusion may emerge. Continuous efforts are therefore required to ensure fairness, inclusion, and respect for human dignity. The pursuit of social justice encourages cooperation between government, communities, institutions, and citizens. Achieving a just society requires collective responsibility and a commitment to protecting the right and welfare of all people, especially those who are most vulnerable. In conclusion, social justice represents the aspiration to build a society based on fairness, equality, dignity, and inclusion. By addressing inequality and expanding opportunities, it seeks to ensure that every individual can contribute to and benefit from social progress. If you are still watching, I hope you are finding this content useful. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and share your thought in the comment. Your support motivates me to create even more content like this.